F1 records that could be broken in 2021. Not even a global pandemic could stop Lewis Hamilton's record-breaking season last year. And heading into 2021, we could see several more F1 records tumble. But not all of them stand to be broken by the reigning champ. Whilst it's true that the 7-time world champion could break records every time he gets into his car this year, with an influx of new drivers both young and old, we're looking at you, Fernando, there are still little bits of history up for grabs across the grid. Some of these are almost worthy of trophies in their own right, and others, not so much. Either way, here's what the F1 history books could say about 2021. Hamilton already holds the record for most pole positions, finishing fastest in qualifying on 98 separate occasions. That's almost 10% of every F1 race held ever. Pole position number 100 could come as early as Imola in April. He also holds the record for most Grand Prix wins, and his 165 podium finishes to date is also a record. Thanks to a delay in the new F1 regs, this season is Hamilton's surest shot to win a record-breaking 8th Drivers' Championship, and if he does, it'll be his 5th in a row, which incidentally equals another of Schumi's records. And if you're a Michael Schumacher fan, I suggest you skip ahead about 30 seconds, because Hamilton also stands to take the German legend's records for most laps led, needing just 13 more laps at the front, most pole positions at one Grand Prix, if the race in Melbourne goes ahead that is, and most wins at one Grand Prix, if he takes victory at the Hungarian Grand Prix later in the season. So that's Lewis's haul out of the way. What's left? Most Constructors titles in a row. Ferrari won 6 Constructors titles on the trot between 1999 and 2004, and with a grand total of 16, it's comfortably the most successful F1 team ever. However, Mercedes beat the record for consecutive titles in 2020, earning the crown for a 7th time in a row since 2014. It also clinched the driver's title in each of those years too, as if it hadn't won enough already. Mercedes could rack up an 8th title on the bounce in 2021, and as the regulations will be broadly similar to those of last season, the Silver Arrows are the odds-on favourites again. Sorry, Max. Most wins without a world title. For a little while, Nico Rosberg and Nigel Mansell held the unwanted record for the most F1 wins without being crowned world champion, but both eventually handed it back to the current custodian, the late, great Sir Stirling Moss. The British legend, who died at the age of 90 last year, is widely regarded as the best driver never to have been crowned world champion. Moss won 16 races between 1955 and 1961, but famously never finished higher than second in the driver's standings. 2 current drivers could realistically take this record from Moss in 2021. Max Verstappen has 10 wins to his name, but no world title, and Valtteri Bottas has won 9. Most races in a season. F1 revealed a huge calendar for 2021 late last year, but the season opener in Australia has already been postponed, and the Chinese Grand Prix doesn't feature at all. Even so, F1 president Stefano Domenicali thinks a mammoth 23 races could still go ahead despite the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. F1's busiest seasons came in 2016, 2018 and 2019, with 21 races held. Unprecedented times call for unprecedented ambition, it seems. Most podiums without a world title. Rubens Barrichello was a podium finisher 68 times in his 18-year F1 career, making the top 3 for Jordan, Stewart, Ferrari, Honda and Brawn. He also won 11 races, but despite the success, the Brazilian holds the record for the most podium appearances without ever becoming world champion. That record could pass to Valtteri Bottas in 2021. The Finn has stolen the podium 56 times to date, including 11 times last year, so he's 14 shy of Barrichello heading into 2021. Best debut result for a Schumacher. The Schumacher name is revered in F1, and while it was Michael who saw almost all of the success, his brother Ralph won 6 Grand Prix of his own and finished on the podium 27 times. However, neither Michael nor Ralph finished their first races. Michael qualified 7th on his debut at the Belgian Grand Prix in 1991, but didn't complete a single lap of the race, while Ralph qualified 12th at the Australian Grand Prix in 97 before retiring less than 2 laps in. So if Mick Schumacher completes just 2 laps on his F1 debut for Haas in Bahrain in March, he'll have made the best F1 start of any Schumacher. Fact. Longest time between race wins. Italian driver Riccardo Patrese holds the record for the longest time between successive race wins in F1, winning the South African Grand Prix at Chelem in 1983 and then the San Marino Grand Prix at Imola in 1990, a mere 2,402 days later. Only Alonso could threaten this. The two-time champion's last F1 victory came at the Spanish Grand Prix in 2013, and 2,877 days will have gone by when the 2021 season gets underway in Bahrain. But it's not like Bahrain ever throws up shock results. Right? Longest time between first and last wins. 5,691 days separate Kimi Raikkonen's first F1 victory at the Malaysian Grand Prix in 2003 and his most recent win at the US Grand Prix in 2018. He could extend this record in 2021, but Fernando Alonso could surpass it too. An unlikely victory at the season opener in Bahrain would make it 6,462 days since Alonso's maiden win at the Hungarian Grand Prix in 2003. That's longer than the time between Max Verstappen's birth and his F1 debut. Youngest pole, win, fastest lap, and every lap led. Sebastian Vettel was 24 years and 119 days old when he won the Indian Grand Prix in 2011, becoming the youngest driver ever to secure pole position, set the fastest lap of the race, and lead every lap on his way to the checkered flag. At 23 years of age, Verstappen could pinch this one from Vettel, but so could Lando Norris, George Russell, Lance Stroll, Charles Leclerc, Yuki Tsunoda, Nikita Mazepin, or Mick Schumacher. And I know we saw some crazy results last season, but based on form, only the Dutchman is likely to have a crack at it. Which of F1's records are you most looking forward to seeing broken this year? Any that we've missed out? Let us know in the comments below, and make sure you're subscribed for more videos.